Okay, so today's video is all about air-cooled perfection. This is a car that came out with us to the drive up to Bandung a couple of days ago. And I didn't have time to kind of look over it too much during that time. So I kind of organized with the owner to bring it out here to Adi's place and basically indulge in all the amazing details that makes this custom-built 993 so special. So it's basically an episode on perfect air-cooled execution, and we're gonna go through all the details with the owner that meticulously designed this car with his, very specific requests, turning a base Carrera into one of the nicest RS-inspired 993s that I've ever come across. Think of it as a Singer meets Gunther Works, but all done with a more personalized kind of view and kept a narrow body, which really does make it one hell of a special car. So we're sitting here with the owner of the 993 that we are shooting today, and I wanted to talk to you because I think you've executed one of the most complete custom 993s that I've come across. That's not either from a manufacturer like Gunther Works or even Singer for 964s. I think you really took that customization to kind of reflect what you want in a car, but you did it your own way in so many different ways that I really wanted to touch on every possible angle. So let's just run through how it all started. Like where was the beginning for this project?
Well, first of all, to hear that from you, I think it's a great pleasure. It's a great pleasure. Of course, this project was a passion, a passionate project. It wasn't, there was no aim what to do with it. It was just something that we wanted to see what it feels like after it's completed.
But did you have a very precise plan in your head before you started, or you kind of go along as you were kind of addressing every aspect of the car? Did you change your mind on some things, or was it like a really well laid out plan beforehand?
As a matter of fact, the car has been around for many years, and we've seen out there, car that has been rebuilt, modified to a certain level. Of course, as a air-cooled car passion, we have ingrained. We wanted to have something that maybe could be more personalized. Something in terms of look, in terms of drivability, in terms of how it feels when you enter the car. There's always something, this should be like this should be like that. So we had the opportunity to make that happen.
Sure.
Yeah, and thanks to COVID.
Yeah, you had the spare time necessary.
We had some time to do it, yeah.
So the project started with basically a bare shell. You dismantled the car completely, right?
The car was actually, we own the car. We drive the car for some time. It was a basic 1995 Carrera, basic Carrera, two-wheel drive, and it's already at a stage where it needed some refreshment in terms of the interior. At the time, it was not bearable for a long drive. And as we move along, we thought, okay, we have the time to do this. We start with the interior, and we thought about, okay, where do we go about? What do we do about with the powertrain? And new thoughts came about. Yeah.
So you mentioned that it's also like the first 4-liter in Indonesia.
Well, I wouldn't place it like that.
Right.
For me, a 4-liter is a challenge. I wanted to know what it would feel like on a 993. So we decided to do it because it was possible to do it. Yeah.
And you sent your engine to a very respected, well-known engine builder in Germany.
Yeah. It was quite of a bit of a research to do. we were browsing and we stumbled upon a project in the Philippines, and it was done by this company from Germany. His name is Mr. Christian Schreiber, and as we contact him through my friend in Germany, he's actually an engineer for roof automobiles for several years. So coming from that background and having discussion with him about what to do with the engine, we feel very good about it, and we wanted to move ahead with the project. The engine, the original engine was shipped to Germany. What was done to it, we rebuilt the engine totally dismantled them. We upgraded the piston, the conrods, and the most important is the crankcase. We wanted to have a crankcase that are specially or suited to do a 4.0 sort of power. So the crankcase is actually a crankcase originally from the 997 RS 4.0, and it fits perfectly well because it's still using the old Mesger crankcase. Yeah, and Christian have done a few of this 4.0, not many, but have a few. So he had some experience with the 4.0, where he upgraded as well the piston, the cylinder head, the lighter conrod. Yeah, it's important. He believes it's important to have a lighter conrod, and of course the rocker arm is strengthened, stronger spring, stiffer spring. And I think he has this special what do you call this part?
Camshaft.
For the camshaft, yeah. So he has many experience with the how the timing should work. So he had especially designed camshafts, and he believes strongly that the engine will achieve 400 horsepower approximately on tire, and about 450 Newton meters of torque, and I thought that it could be enough for this car. Yeah, to be drivable enough. Yeah.
But you didn't really want to create a race car, like a track car. You wanted to create something that's drivable daily, right?
Yeah, but we wanted to have a car that was drivable, but feels like a track car.
Yeah.
But of course, living here, in Indonesia, in Jakarta, with the road condition, we have to compromise a certain aspect in terms of the car stiffness, in terms of power. Yeah, we wanted the car to be drivable, not just to be nice and pretty to look at.
It was definitely pretty to look at, engine included, because you have this amazing carbon fiber intake that...
Yeah, there is a story behind that too. In fact, Christian has gone through several different individual throttle body that would actually work with his piston, conrod, and engine design. He wanted to have something that have a power that is not too abrupt, smooth, but always there, which is not easy to achieve.
Sure.
Yeah, he also have a specially designed header, which he designed himself on the header, because the header, the output of the header must match with the intake of the air from the plenum on the ITB. So he has matched that perfectly. And the final part is the exhaust. The exhaust, of course, we wanted an exhaust that suitable for the air-cool, is not a water-cooled engine. So we managed to find a titanium exhaust in the market, left over from the old 993 race car. So we decided to take that. It's modified slightly, where he installed a valve inside the exhaust, where it allows you to have lower decibels when you drive low RPM. You will find later, as you increase the RPM, the decibel will increase. But when we're driving, hopefully people wouldn't complain so much.
You're trying to be not so antisocial, basically.
We want to be polite in a certain way. So the transmission is a G50, the newest version, the latest version for the 993. We find that G50 will be suitable for this purpose. But what we did when we rebuilt we follow exactly the same ratio as the RS car. There are actually a few different ratios for the RS. One, that are built for Switzerland, for example, because you tend to have mountain driving, so the ratio is slightly different to the car that are built not for the mountain driving. But on top of that, of course, we choose for street driving RS 993 ratio. But on top of that, what we did is that we use a different number of gear. So instead of, for example, you have a ratio of X, but maybe you have 10 gears. This one only has half of that. So the gear are stronger, they are thicker.
Right.
You will find later there's a lot of noise in that, but it's the noise coming because the gear mesh is thicker. It's not a fine gear. Yeah, so that's what we did to the transmission.
Okay, so here is the car in all its glory. Like we were talking, the color is something very special. It has that kind of Nardo gray look, but it is officially a Porsche color. And the details are all around. Starting off with that forged carbon fiber bonnet. You can see the Porsche emblem is actually a sticker, and some modern headlights. And you have the contrasting air intakes there that kind of match the rest of the contrasting forged carbon parts that are all around the car, starting with the side skirts that match up to the turbo intakes here. And then of course that whale tail. So basically base car was a Carrera, and now it kind of looks exactly like an RS. Even the RS logos are in that forged carbon, and all the way to the roof as well. You can actually see how the forged carbon is on the inside too. We'll take a look inside, and we have that carbon door panel here with the RS straps. There's even a pocket here for your phone, and that carbon fiber panel that basically creates a flat floor with the sound deadening underneath, carpets on top, and the Alcantara trim is carried across onto the seats, right across the lower part of the dashboard and the top part of the dashboard. All right, let's take a look at this masterpiece of an engine. I just love seeing air-cooled engines built to this spec, and they look so good when you get rid of that massive factory compressor here for the aircon that always sits in the way. Even the intake plenum is all carbon fiber, as you can see, a BMC filter, and there's no actual heat shielding like you would find on a stock 993. It's all being left with the exposed paint of the bodywork inside and out. It's just a work of art. Look at this thing, unbelievable. So you see a lot of late builds on air-cooled running coil on plug ignition, but they've stuck with the original setup here. So of course these engines are twin plugs, so it has double the amount of spark plugs, and thus all the ignition setup around that. Just love the trim here with this kind of like fabric pattern kind of against the Alcantara RS door strap. Got Renline pedal box, and even the instrumentation is all customized. It's all black on gray, just to carry through that pattern into the instrumentation as well. Right down to the steering wheel, stock 993 wheel wrapped in Alcantara. And the cool thing here is the back, where the rear seats used to be. There's a nice forged carbon panel running across there, and the bolted in cage. We saw how the air conditioning compressor is no longer there in the engine. That's because this electrical unit is now taking care of that up front. Very nicely arranged here where the spare tire used to be. Nice carbon fiber strut brace, and just beautifully laid out cabling and piping all throughout. I really love how the fabric has kind of replaced the entire dash trim here in the center. No head unit, just the air conditioning controls, and of course that beautiful kind of balsa wood look shifter. Not sure if you can make it out, but even the inside of the roof panel has no factory leather trim. That's all being removed because of course it's forged carbon, and it has built-in sound deadening and heat shielding so you don't get too hot in the cabin. And like I said, he really did a good job of keeping that exposed chassis paint visible, but having all the carpeting in there. And again, these Recaros are absolutely beautiful, trimmed in the same Alcantara as the rest of the interior. Contrasting red seat belts here. Just really, really well executed all the way. So another cool detail, aside from this electric AC compressor, is this panel here, which is basically a thick panel of sheet metal that's been added in there to replicate the weight of the spare tire, so as to keep the original balance of the stock car. So let's have a little closer look at the roof wheels, which kind of hide those massive Brembo 6 spots, and the custom brake setup there with the two-piece rotors. So that mounting center bell, floating bell, is perfectly spaced to accommodate any stock 993 wheel. It's just really amazing to kind of see a build like this. It's quite defined by the details. It looks so simple, but yet so complex in its entirety. You know, you have every little surface of the car customized and given that personal touch that makes this so very special. Now, I guess the thing that remains to be done is to jump in and go for a drive. All right, so we're in the car and it feels so special even at idle. Lightweight flywheel, huh?
Yes.
You can tell.
You can tell that it's a bit noisy because we don't do any more the sound dampener on the transmission corridor here. So you hear more noise on the transmission.
top, so that torque at low RPM is still there. That power at the top is still there. It just pulls the entire way through the rev range. It's absolutely intoxicating. I don't think I've driven a car this good in a very long time. It's gonna be sweating. Okay, so it's been a while since I've driven a car that has literally made my hands shake. This thing is ferocious. You know, I've driven a Singer 4-liter before, and this is just as fast, but a little bit raw. It kind of has that race car feel about the power delivery and how the engine sounds and responds. And it's a tricky drive, you know, it's a car you really have to you know, take your time to kind of learn and, you know, get the most out of. But in these few squirts I did up and down these roads, I was just blown away. It's just a wall of power and torque. It just pulls so strongly at low RPM, and I just gotta be extremely grateful to the owner for allowing me to sample this. It's been a hell of an experience, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this crazy creation in all its glory and getting to hear it too.